in this year today, we have 5 generations working together.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to bridge those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was sitting here, we was laughing right before we started when I did the mic check, and I was like doing bebop in the mic. But it's like we need to understand and embrace our differences and then learn from each other.
I agree.
Instead of making fun of each other and going in a corner. Like, let's do some reverse mentoring. I would welcome a young man, a young woman mentoring me that's 25, 30 years old, because I know I got a lot of stuff to learn. So I'm open to that.
Interesting.
And then vice versa, I would love to help mentor them. So let's have a reciprocal relationship. Let me share what I know, and you share what you can teach me too, because we're both teachable.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Speak Life with Bo Harris. I'm here with Miss Haseena Jackson, and she is a certified life coach, author, public speaker, trainer under John Maxwell. Phenomenal woman right now. We're going to get into her journey and hopefully it can inspire someone to get into networking and public speaking and whatever this may lead you to. We're just going to have a good time in this conversation. So how you doing, Haseena?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here today.
I was looking at your bio on Amazon and LinkedIn, checking you out and seeing that you've been doing this for a while. It says that you've been into this for 20 years. Did I see that right?
I've been in leadership for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I started my business about 5 years ago.
Okay. So let's talk at your journey in leadership. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us about it?
Well, my journey, I hold it all to my gym teacher in 9th grade.
Okay.
Because she showed me more.
What's your gym teacher's name?
It was Miss Jane Davis. I'll never forget her. She was about 4'9".
Okay.
But she was a small woman in stature, but she was big in heart and big in spirit. And so I had a plan, based on my community and where I lived, is that the only thing I was going to do is go get a trade and get married one day and have some kids, and that was it. So I had placed a ceiling on how high I could go in life.
Yeah.
And so every day I would walk home from school, literally, with a folded up sheet of paper in my hand like this, no books, nothing. And so she called me over one day, and she said, Shaheed, because that's my last name.
Okay.
That's what she called me back. She said, get in now. I was like, what she want with me? I haven't done anything. What's wrong? I said, hey, Miss Davis, how you doing? She said, I see you every day, and all you have is that little piece of paper in your hand. What are you doing with your life? I said, going to school, minding my business, and going home.
As a student should.
Yes. Right. I was thinking, well, why is she picking on me?
Yeah.
And she says, no, you are more than that. And so she taught me more because of her, I pursued my graduate and my master's degree and my bachelor's degree. And I always had this spirit of being restless. And so she also talked me into being senior class president. So it's because of her I just saw so much more in my life, and I owe it all to her. And so because of her is who I am today. I want people to see more and not limit themselves based on their obstacles and trials in life and the things that go on around them. And so many times we get distressed and distracted because we believe that there's nothing else we can do or there's nowhere we can go, when that's just really your mind telling you, or your eyes saying, this is it, when you have to really look outside that box and that window. Interesting.
But that is a true concept. I truly believe the same way. Like, people can say they're a product of your environment, but that's just a cliche saying, and that doesn't necessarily have to be true. It's actually what you make it. Life is what you make it. If you decide that you want to be something else outside of what you see, all you have to do is put in the work, and you'll eventually see what you envision in your mind. So, yeah, you ain't wrong with that. I like that in you. I like that.
Because we're so focused on how long it's going to take, instead of how high, like John said, I can go. John Maxwell, that's my mentor. How high can I go is really what you want to ask yourself.
Okay. Yeah, because sky isn't the limit. Don't put a limit on. Yeah, I like that. So your gym teacher was your first mentor, and John was your second. Am I hearing this right?
No, I have a bunch of mentors in my life, but my current one now is John Maxwell, because I'm part of his team. And I have some other mentors like in faith, my pastors. I have colleagues who have taken me underneath their wings. So you never have more than I have a lot of mentors in my life.
So how important is it to have mentors in your life as far as just structure and getting to that next level? How important is it to have a mentor?
Well, it's vital because if you're the smartest person in your room, where are you going to go?
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. No, I totally agree.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but that's just the point. So you look to sharpen yourself, because I see growth as a journey. When I hear people say, I've gone as far as I can go, I look at them because you really have placed a ceiling on yourself.
Yeah.
You've placed your own limit. When like today I was at a conference, there was a man that was 93 years old. 93 in the first row taking notes. Now I've heard people tell me who are 70, I'm at the end of my rope. There's I can go no further.
Wow.
And now look at them. And I say, why do you think that? What makes you think that that you can't go any further?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like no more room to grow. Putting a big box around yourself at that point,
And I saw that, in my life. And that's what my father was that way. He reminds you of Edith Bunker and All in Family. That's what he did every day. He was the man that came home from work and sat in the chair and watched TV every night and just started the process over again. And that's what I saw as a child.
Yeah, I've seen examples of that, but I always, in my mind, was like, it's always more to it. It's something else that could be done. My father is an entrepreneur in the financial sector. Before he was in finances, he had a not-for-profit working with kids and taking them out of juvenile detention centers and putting them in group homes and getting them placed on the right track and whatnot. So he was always busy. And when I get out of school, I have to go to the office and watch him work and all that type of stuff. But seeing how he was connected within the community and what he did for these kids was like, it's always good to serve, and it's always some more stuff he's been doing. And then when he stopped that minute, to see him work right into the financial sector, it's like, this dude doesn't stop, And I think he's up in age right now. He's in his 70s, and he's still working every day. He doesn't stop. And every day he's learning something new, helping somebody new. So that seeing that is always a good example, just to show you, like, seeing 93. I know that probably inspired you, like, it's more you can do. It's always something you can learn. It's never a limit. It's never a cap on your growth. Tree doesn't stop growing. I give you a good example, right? On my block, there's a man, one of my neighbors, that cut down the tree, right? And the tree was huge. The tree was so huge. And I watched them cut it down. Like, man, they cut down that huge tree. They bogus. Because, I care about the earth and I like trees and stuff like that. That's the hippie in me. But, man, they cut down that tree. I want to say about 2 months later, get some good rain came. That tree stump was growing new branches and everything. I say, that's relentless right there. I like that tree. That tree knows what's up. Yeah. Resilient. You're right. So eventually they took the whole thing off from the root, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. They killed that tree, man. They got rid of it because they saw it wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. But there's always room for growth is what I was trying to get at. So
they get it.
Excuse me.
I know, that's funny. So, they said that would get you. You're not gonna stay here.
Yeah, no, they ain't stopping me. No, you may have cut me down, but I'ma still rise up out of it. That's like the hustler's mentality. You know what I'm saying? Or someone that's just not a quitter. They always understand I might get knocked down, but I'm going to still come back, and I'm going to come back stronger, because when I tell you that tree, it wasn't just one branch, it was a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like what they say, you cut off the head, 2 more grow or 3 more grow, that type of situation. Yeah, man, it was huge. But I digress. We're not here to talk about trees. Let's talk about.
No, but you bring up a point. See, the thing is what I like about you is that your father was a role model in your household.
Yeah.
He showed you that. Think about the people who don't have that.
Yeah, for sure.
And those are the people that we're trying to reach here today, because we want them to know that don't give up. Don't stop just because your environment.
Yeah.
Don't stop because of the people around you. Keep going. You can go further.
Yeah. You can always learn something new. You can always change your position. It's a thing about positions that I'm getting a real understanding of, and saying that, okay, just because I started the race bad doesn't mean I have to finish in last. I can finish strong, and I can win the race. Actually, you know what I'm saying? If I'm aware of my surroundings, aware of my competition, aware of what's coming my way and how I can change it, and I execute on that, in a mindset that's fearless, because fear can stop a lot of things. You know,
Yes.
fear, the unknown is scary, and I'm just being very honest. The unknown is scary. It's like, I don't know if good will come from it, if bad will come from it, but when you put yourself in a position to be like, well, I'm here. You know, I know what I want. I know what I don't want. So let me go for what I want and see what that gets me. You know, you reach for the stars, shoot for the stars, land on the cloud. That type of situation. You may not hit the moon, but you can still be in the sky, so you're all good. It's better than where you were when you started. And once you start appreciating the process, it changes your whole mindset. You know, you can say, I started here, didn't have this much money, or I didn't have this, like Toastmasters, for example. You come in and you're not so confident in speaking, or you're not so confident in your leadership skills, and you're in the program for so long. Next thing you know, you realize you've done 6 speeches in front of a group that you don't know. You may have participated in a competition, something that you never thought you see yourself doing, but it's all a part of the process. So now you're more confident in doing that PowerPoint at your job, or you're more confident in talking to a stranger about something that you're passionate about, to maybe lead them and introduce them to something new to change their mindset and keep the cycle going, for lack of a better word. So it's all good to put yourself in a position to understand that.
But you know what the common thread was in that, everything that you said?
What?
Action.
For sure. Faith without works is dead. You gotta move, man. You're sitting still. That's just bad. Bad for your bones, period. You know what I'm saying? You lay down in the hospital bed too long, you get bed sores. You know what I'm saying? So science shows us that we're supposed to be active. So we got to take care of our bodies and make sure that we're exercising. Well, we need to exercise. It's essential. It's essential. And speaking of action, I've seen you put a lot of action into what you're doing, because with John Maxwell being one of your mentors, for those who don't know, well, I'll let you tell the people who John Maxwell is, for those who don't know, and how you got affiliated with him to even join his what would we call it?
Team.
Of course, his team. Okay,
team.
so to join his team and how it's helped you in your journey.
Well, John Maxwell is the leadership guru out here. I mean, he has those 5 pillars on communication, connecting with people, leadership skills, and growth, and being intentional. And so I was looking around, really trying to find someone who I can affiliate with, because prior to becoming a coach and trainer underneath him, I had an edible arrangements franchise. So I've always had that entrepreneur spirit.
Okay.
So that didn't work for me, and I'm fine with that. It was just a lesson that I learned, and I will not regret it.
Yeah.
And so I searched around, was trying to find an organization that I can be in alignment with. And so John, I happened upon him because, one, he's a person of faith, and I'm a person of faith. And he stands on that, and that's the foundation of his business. So I could see that alignment in my values, and based on where he was going, because if you look in the Bible, everything he talks about, people, is in the Bible. Because people will say the Bible is old, it's stale, it doesn't apply to today. But no, as my husband says to me all the time, there's nothing new underneath the sun. Only thing that changes is just things come back. You might have a different way of doing things, but the foundation is still there.
For sure.
That's what we need to understand. And so I aligned with him because I like the fact that he has a spirit, and he sees things beyond just the physical eyes. He sees things looking at what can be instead of focusing on what is today. And that's what I need, someone to help me continue to move forward, someone who's about growing and being intentional and helping me become a better leader and a better communicator.
I like that. John Maxwell actually put me on with the mindset of being more intentional with that. So how is being intentional with your process helped you? Was it a hard process to even figure out I got to be more intentional with my words and my actions, or do you just jump into it and it was easy for you to just start using that action as a part of your routine?
Well, I'm working on my next book, and I say that I'm on my 4th book, and we're going to probably talk about that. And some of that is in there, is that it's been a process for me. I had some things that happened we all have a story, so that's part of my story. And so I had to learn, because I had placed a ceiling again. I lost sight of more when I went into corporate America. I lost sight of that more that Miss Davis introduced me to, because I started settling. I started looking around me, and my environment was closing in on me. And I would go home and I would be depressed and disgusted, and I would say, I'm just going to make another day, like the coffee commercial. I'm going to go home, wake up, make my breakfast, drive to work, do the work, come home.
Mundane routine.
The same routine over and over again. And that's what I was just dying inside. And so, like, again, I happened upon John. I think I read The 15 Laws of Growth was the first book that I read of his.
Okay.
And it talked about how we can have the law of the environment, the law of being intentional, different laws that were in there that just made me go, I need to put these into practice. The law of the mirror was the biggest one, looking in the mirror and seeing the person that you are and believing in that person. And so I had to break out of that mundane routine and me being stifled in my work environment to realize that there was a purpose for me. And my purpose is not to sit here and wallow in pity and anger and hostility, but my purpose is to go forward and help people see that there is more. And that's what I strive to help people see, the more that I had lost track of, that I had learned from my mentor, and now I want to mentor others, helping them in the same way.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Very honorable. Very honorable. Because when I read the book, I was at a point where and I can't remember which book it was, but I've read a few of his books, so we talked about the books that we read. And I remember being in a position where I'm managing a lot of projects, right? So with me, it's more of I need to, 1, stay active, 2, serve, and 3, grow. That's just, I got to learn something. And by me being active helps me learn. And if I'm serving somebody, then I'm not being selfish at that point, because I don't want to be selfish. That's just not what God has called us to be. Mm-hmm. So when it came to being intentional, though, it made me realize that you had to be more descriptive with your words, like even intentional with what you speak, because we know it's power and death, life and death in the tongue. So I'm not going to say anything ill towards you, but when I'm praying, I want to say, instead of, God, let me have a great day today. If I'm driving Uber at that time, I'm going to say, yeah, it's probably around the time I was driving Uber. Yeah, I know it was, actually, because I would say this prayer: God, let me have a great day today. I don't want anybody to get in my car drunk. I want to make at least $300 tonight. God, allow me to have a good time, great passages, great vibes, great rides. You know what I'm saying? And left it at that. Amen. And went about my business. And usually those nights would be that way. Even if I would have someone that would be like questioning security measures and whatnot. I travel with God. I don't worry about anything like that. So that would change the trajectory of the conversation. And it would be a great vibe and great ride. So understanding when I was doing that, I started to apply that to everything. God, if I want something, I'm going to be very specific about what I want. To be very intentional about what I want, because I don't want to leave any room for error. It's like, all right, God, I asked for a new wardrobe, but you didn't say you wanted it to be this. You know what I'm saying? You said you want a new wardrobe, so here you go. And you could have been more specific and said, I want a new car. Well, all right, well, here go a 96 Honda. God, I wanted something in the 2000s, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't ask for that. You said a new car, so this is not, you never had it before, so it's yours. Right. So understand the power of intention. I think that's real important. And I think a lot of people subconsciously or ignorantly, no, I'm not going to say ignorantly. It's a term I was using. I think I got it, man, and it's escaping me right now. Oh, willful ignorance. That's what it is. Well, we're willingly being ignorant, but you know what I'm saying, it's okay because we choose to do it. It's like, no, you can actually speak things into existence. If you really want something, you can speak it out there, and if you speak it enough, you're going to start putting action behind it because you're tired of saying it. And then you're going to have to put your you're going to have to write that check. You're going to put your, you know what I'm saying, your words where I can't think of any saying right now. My mind is blank.
That's okay. But the one that comes to me is when my grandma used to say, closed mouths don't get fed.
Boom. Now that's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah, for sure. You don't want to put your foot in your mouth. I still can't think of the one I'm thinking of.
But you have to be specific in your prayer request.
Yeah.
So if you say, like you just said before, oh, I just want the world to be beautiful. Well, it is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
You go outside.
Yeah.
It's the sun. It's about perception, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
for
you
sure.
have to say, what I want is, I want to be, what I say, God, I want to be of service to you. It's about you. Use this vessel of clay for your will, not my will. So let me go out here and touch someone's heart today that is hurting.
For sure.
So that's why so you just being specific.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if we were to practice that as humans, that we would see the results that we actually think about all the time. You know, we think about, world peace. So we think about solving poverty in the hood, or we think about ways that we can help everybody. I think, it's funny conversing with a lot of people. Everybody has a spirit of servitude with them. They want to serve, but the way that they serve it may be deemed as unconventional, not in their character, or how someone may perceive them, or how it's just not something. It's the unknown. They never done it, so it puts them in a mindset of fear. So they don't do it, and instead of being specific or acting in that want, or that, you can't say it's being selfish, because you're wanting to serve somebody. So if you're in that want, God, I want to help someone in this fashion, and actually going for it, I think people get scared because of public perception, but and that stops the progress of a lot of things. It's the mindset. If you're thinking more of what someone's going to say about what you're doing, then you put yourself in a box, because now you're under their constraints. Like you said, you're in the corporate world. So the corporate world comes with a whole bunch of SOPs, standard operating procedures. This is what we need you to do. We'll hire you for this, and this is what you need to do, and this is how we need you to do it, because it fits our mode, our program. And just like you said, it can make you feel depressed. It can put you in a box, especially if you're a creator. So for someone who not necessarily a creator, but wants to be creative and wants to serve, but not seen in that light, and then they put themselves out there like that, and someone says, man, that's not you. What you doing? You're weird, man. And then they, oh, man, and next you know, they're back in that shell. They're not progressing. Nothing gets solved, and the world stays in the state that it's in. And I think that if we were more intentional with our words and more intentional with our actions, that we can change a lot. I wish it was like that, because me talking about it kind of hits a button, but it's more like I just want to see it, because everybody wants to talk about the problem, but no one wants to execute the solutions. And that's my thing, even on a small scale. The helping pick up the garbage on the block, or Girl Scouts, or like things of that, small community clubs. Like you don't even see these things anymore. They're starting to become obsolete because of how it's deemed in the public eye as someone's not fit to be around kids, or someone is, well, they're not raising my kids the way I want to raise them, so they can't be in this program because it's not beneficial for them in the way I see it. Like, for example, I was in Boy Scouts, right? No one would know this unless I told them, but I was in Boy Scouts. My mama had me in Boy Scouts. She used to have a Girl Scout troop, so I was in Boy Scouts for a while. And the things I learned in Boy Scouts, I still use to this day. Being outdoors, tying knots, knowing how to start fires, dealing with leather, knowing how to just outdoor stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not the conventional, I'm in the house dealing with gas, like living off the land type of situation. That's what they teach, and leadership skills as well. And I go back and look at the pictures. You see me in the Boy Scout uniform, the shirt, but I got a gold chain on. You know what I'm saying? I got my what shoes with those? I want to say the Pippins. I have the Pippins on in there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like I stick out like a sore thumb. The group picture is a group full of, what I'm saying, white kids. And where you at? That black dot right there, that's me. You know what I'm saying? But since it was out of the norm, it exposed me to something different, which changed my mindset to think about something different that I wasn't exposed to back where I was raised. So if you put these kids in different positions, show them different things, they become intentional with their actions and words, then you have a different outcome. And I think that that's more needed. And I commend you for doing what you're doing with mentoring and the workshops that you're doing. And speaking of workshops that you're doing, let's talk about the workshop that you have coming up. It's this Friday and the one in November. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's called Reload, and Recharge 2023. And it's really a growth experience. And so as part of the John Maxwell team, Live to Lead. So we have a host of speakers. I have Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. Everybody knows Eric, and he has a powerful story. I mean, he was living on the streets. He went from living on the streets to now having his PhD, his own business, and he's a well-renowned speaker where people are always asking him to come out and tell his story. And then I have Dr. Tim Elmore, who's talking about in this year today, we have 5 generations working together. Mm-hmm. And we need to bridge those gaps. Mm-hmm. I was sitting here, we was laughing right before we started when I did the mic check, and I was like doing bebop in the mic. But it's like, we need to understand and embrace our differences and then learn from each other.
I agree.
Instead of making fun of each other and going in a corner. Like, let's do some reverse mentoring. I would welcome a young man, a young woman mentoring me that's 25, 30 years old, because I know I got a lot of stuff to learn. So I'm open to that.
Interesting.
And then vice versa, I would love to help mentor them. So let's have a reciprocal relationship. Let me share what I know and you share what you can teach me too, because we're both teachable.
Yeah, for sure.
So don't think they'll have that closed mind. And so that's what Tim is talking about. How can we bridge those differences? And next you have Doris Kearns Goodwin, who's been around presidents. Lyndon Johnson, she wrote his autobiography. She wrote Leadership in Turbulent Times. And it's all about where you have to learn how to be the leader that you can become. Don't look at those 5 things you need to do every day. What's the 5 things that you do every day that keep you going? That's something that we need to think about.
Yeah.
And then I have, look at my notes. Patrick Lencioni. He's the other one that's powerful. He's talking about working in your sweet spot. In tasks we have, it's called the widget. There's different tasks that need to be done. Okay. And you need to work in your genius. When you work in your genius, that means that you will give forth your best effort.
I agree.
When you feel confined and constrained, or you're always doing the same things that you always do, then you're not going to give your best. Correct.
Because it's the routine, it's the habit, it's like the hamster wheel. It's like
But work where you have that sweet spot, and then I help you with that, finding that sweet spot so that you can find the career or doing the tasks that work best for you within your corporation or in your business. And then we also have John Maxwell, of course. I mean, John is always talking about, he has the 16 laws of communication, which for both of us in Toastmasters, I know I'm going to be like a sponge when that comes out in 2023, because it's always telling you how to best be your best communicator. Because communication is not about you, which we know. Yeah. It's about the other person. How many people really understand that? Yeah. But it's not how they receive it, but you're really taking yourself out of the way. You want to give that person what they need to know and hear. Yeah. Yeah. And what they need to know and hear is what you have lived through that you can share, and that touches them. Yeah. So those speakers will be part of this event where we'll learn from them, and then we'll have roundtable coaching sessions where we'll talk about what are your next steps and what are your action steps. Because I want you to leave there from this event with one thing that you can promise and dedicate yourself to keep you moving forward in your professional life or your personal life. And so those events will be October 14th. One is at Messiah Lutheran Church, which is a half a day. And then the next one will be November 12th, which you're going to participate in. It's going to be a virtual event. Indeed. And then I will have another one at my church in January of 2023. And I'm looking at a couple of more. So it's just a growth experience for the next 4 to 5 months. I want to help people as much as possible. We're at the end of this year, but 2023 is coming up. So what do you need to do starting out in 2023 that you can do differently that will get you on the path that you need to be going in? Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. To get information on these workshops, you can go to my website. It's hsjackson.com, and check me out. And I look forward to seeing you there. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I was surprised that you asked me. It's one thing to, participate and go to panels, right? And see these things. But to be invited to actually be like a guest on it, it's like, wow, growth. Because at one point in time, I just think I was, just being honest, I think I was worthy to be on that. Yeah, just being honest. Because when I came to Toastmasters, it was one thing. It's like, all right, I speak slang fluently. Now, I always tell everybody, I can speak slang very fluent. But when it came down to expressing my ideas, my creative thoughts, it will be received well on some ends, but on some other ends, it would just be like,
And I realized that was a communication thing. So I need to work on my communication. And then when I realized that communication and leadership was taught at Toastmasters, it was, this is a win-win. I can't lose with this, because now I can become a better leader. I can also get better with my communication, because what happens is when I get passionate about something, I speak very fast. Like very fast. Twista ain't got, well, I ain't gonna say he got nothing on me. He's pretty fast. But you know what I'm saying? I go there though. I go there and I speak fast, then I speak fast, and sometimes it can be a low tone, or it can be it couldn't be recognizable. So I was like, I don't want to do that when it goes to pitching my ideas to people, because I want to be taken serious when it comes to this type of stuff. I'm very serious about what I do. So I put my sweat and blood and all of my time in it. If I'm not with my family, I'm working on myself and my business. So, if I'm presenting this to someone, I want to make sure that they understand what is being presented is not a game. It's not a joke. And Toastmasters has helped a lot with that. So when you ask me to do that, wow, now I got opportunity to jump into this public speaking situation, or sow a seed in that to see where that goes, because I actually want to get into that. I was always inspired by the Gary V's, the Les Browns, the E.T., and and seeing how, and even some really good pastors, you know what I'm saying? Seeing how it's how I related to is like hip hop. It's like an MC. You controlling the crowd. You know what I'm saying? You get up on the mic, you go up there, the whole crowd, wave your hands, and the crowd is doing what you want them to do. You know what I'm saying? You got the crowd. So to be able to just get up there and speak, tell your story, and to have people glued in to the fact where either they can't move and their sole attention is on you, or they're taking notes, like you said, the 93-year-old man was, because they're learning. It's like, oh yeah, I want that, and just, from even being in hip hop and rapping and whatnot, me and my homie used to go on stage all the time. You know what I'm saying? I was his hype man. So he'd be controlling the crowd and I'd be with him, making sure that the crowd stayed. But we would do all, and seeing how fun that was, it was like, okay, I may not want to still rap, but I still want to be on stage. I still want to inspire. I have a story to tell. And I'm still creating this amazing journey in life. God is still allowing me to live and see and do and create and grow. So why not help others and share my story with others? So I really want to tell you thank you. I know I told you thank you plenty of times over the phone and whatnot, but I'm so grateful that you allowed this opportunity for me. Like, I'm super excited about it.
But you have to look at, one, what you're doing. You're making an impact on young men, and that's powerful. And so I'm looking to help in that arena, because I was mentoring young men and women as part of Chicago Cred. I worked for them for like about a year or so.
You said Chicago who?
Chicago Cred.
Okay.
And they're a nonprofit. Well, I wouldn't say nonprofit, but they're an agency here in Chicagoland area where they help the Chicago youth, the young youth, and that, like, the men might have been recently incarcerated at some point, or the women had a background that just, hindered them in moving forward.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that really touched me was that I wanted to help them find their voice, because they felt that they were limited on where they could go in life because of where they had come from. And so they can't allow the fact that they had been in prison to hold them back. Because they saw that as them being a failure, and that there was no need for them to really learn their voice or have a voice. And I want people to understand is that it doesn't matter where you came from. The point is where you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to look at.
For sure.
Don't allow the obstacles and storms and trials that happened to you in the past to keep you from going forward into your next step or your next level. And so I commend you, because you're working with those young men today, not necessarily the ones who are incarcerated, but you're helping to mold the future.
Indeed.
And if people don't take that time out and help mold our future, what do you think we're going to have?
Yeah. It gets scary when you think about it. I got daughters, so I'm thinking, God, who are my daughters going to bring home to me? You know what I'm saying? When it's time for them to start dating, and Lord have mercy.
So
my son, who is my son going to bring home? Because Lord have mercy.
We have to
I ain't got time for that.
We have to help them. There was a young man that I will never forget in the class I was teaching, and he told me his story, and it touched my heart. He had to ride the bus at 4 or 5 a.m. every morning, walking through his hood where he was scared he might get shot. And his, as they say, his homies were saying, man, why you worried about getting on that bus? Stay here with us and you can just sell dope or whatever and do and make money this way. Who cares about getting on that bus and doing something different? And he looked at them. He didn't say anything, of course, but he thought in his mind, but God has something better for me.
Yeah.
He told me that.
Yeah.
So this young man trudged forward, and now he's a painter making $70,000 a year.
Outstanding.
So see, he didn't allow his environment to say, don't do that.
Right.
He didn't allow the peer pressure to say, stay here with me. Instead, he saw a better way, and that's what we need to focus on. There's a better way.
Yeah, options. Yeah, I'm big on options. You know what I'm saying? Understanding your options. Just because one thing was presented to you in a certain fashion doesn't mean that's what you got to take.
That's right.
It's a book I read, The Power of Negotiator. And when I read that book, it was about a guy who was a FBI negotiator, right? And what he did was turn his skill set from that into a business. And then it came into how you can use this in a corporate setting. You're negotiating skills from dealing with terrorists, and now you're in a corporate situation, and you can still use this as leverage. And I was just, amazed by that, because it's like no one really thinks about the options that you have. It's like it's common to say, okay, this was presented to me, this is it, and this is it. I gotta take it. I gotta take it because this is the only thing that's here right now. Instead of saying, okay, well, what else can I do with it? I tell my little cousins and anybody I come across, like he was just, as an example, he was trying to get a job, and I was telling him, like, okay, when you apply, let them know what shift you are able to do. They're going to tell you what shift they want you to do, and you can say, all right, well, thank you for that opportunity. I can see how it works on my schedule, but I'm willing to work on this schedule. Or if they say they can pay you this, well, okay, I appreciate that, but you can come with a counter. You know what I'm saying? Always come, never just settle. Always come with a counter. That's what the book says. So that's what I now implement, and I'm intentional about implementing that, and it works. Like, because I guess one, it catch people off guard, especially from a person of color. You know what I'm saying? It just catches people off guard. Like, what? You just going, okay, well, now let's play ball. Let's see where, because it's now it's a game. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes like a challenge, and it becomes fun, because now once you get used to it, it's like saying you're going for what you want. Now you're exercising the power of intent. Now you're saying, I'm not just going to go into the situation to get whatever they give me. I know what I want out of the situation, and they're going to tell me something, I'm going to tell them something, and we're going to explore the options. If it don't work out, that is an option. You know what I'm saying? I can say no. That is always an option.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they present something that's good, all right, I can exercise that option, I'll go for it and see where it goes. But you at least exercise your options. So I think that's key, understanding that despite of where you're from, despite of your circumstance, despite of your past, despite of what you think you lack of knowledge, you still have options. You know what I'm saying? There's always a play to be made. And as we say, in the streets, it's always a play to be made, man. You don't have to sit stagnant for nobody, man. You can always figure something out. Everybody always say, I got it from the mud, or I made something out of nothing. Yeah, because you realized your options. Your back was against the wall. You had to figure something out. That's exercising your options. So why wait till your back is against the wall to do that, though? You can do that when you wake up, You
can. It's just always, I go back to, we have to have hope.
Yeah, for sure.
I really believe that I'm teaching the values table at Tinley Park High School, and we're talking about hope, listening, and valuing others. Those will be the three values we're going to talk about. And hope was the first one we just talked about recently. And it's all about this one parent gave a powerful story, and it touched my heart. He had a neighbor, because he was just starting out, striking out, and he had no money. Mm-hmm. The neighbor one day left a bag of groceries on his doorstep. Didn't know him, but he knew that he was struggling. After that, the neighbor would periodically leave a meal on his doorstep. What happened to those days? Why we don't help each other with giving that hope? And now today, he's an entrepreneur. He's doing very well, but that person touched his heart and helped him to keep going forward. And we are not doing that.
I agree.
Instead, we sit here and we go, well, I got mine.
I hope you get yours.
You know, right?
See you at the top.
You know, and my husband, and my husband makes me get humble.
Yeah.
You know, he said some things like, you know, we were driving down the street one day, and he'll see someone on the side, and they'll be asking for money, and I'll look sometimes, you know, and I'll be like, well, but there's a help sign right back there. If they go across the street, they can go sign and put an application in. You know, that's what I would say to my husband.
Yeah.
My husband say, no, they need help. I said, okay, I get it. They need help. So then the other day we were going down, we were at, I forgot the Boston Market. And there was a young man out there that was asking, I didn't really hear what he said, but my husband did. He said, no, I thought the young man said, I'll pray for you. And I remember what one of my mentors said, now you don't want everybody praying for you because you don't know what kind of spirit they have. So I looked at him and I said, and I did, you know, I looked at him like this and I went, pray for me. Yeah. You know, I'm like, I don't know you. So anyway, so I went in there, we got our food, we came back out. And so the young man, he didn't say pray for me. He said, would you pray for me? He wanted me to pray for him.
That's what's up.
So then he was saying that he actually needed some money because he had a job, but he didn't have his ID. He had lost his ID and he just needed, I think it was $10, $20 to go get his ID so he can start work on Monday.
Okay.
I reached in my pocket and gave that young man $20. I said, I tell you what, I want you to start that job on Monday. Now, what you choose to do with this $20 is up to you, but I'm giving you a chance. So that's what we need to do. Be willing to give that chance. And I'm not saying that I can give everybody $20. Don't get me wrong. That's not what the story is. Yeah. But the point is that we should be willing to give someone hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
That don't cost you anything. $20, we can blow that just walking down the street, getting a piece of candy the way everything is so high out here. So you're not going to miss $20.
Yeah.
So give someone a spark of hope that's going to help them take that next step. That young man was so excited about that he would have a job come Monday. And that's what I'm excited for him for too.
Yeah. So with the spirit of serving, where do you say you developed that? I know you said you were inspired by your teacher, your gym teacher, but it seems like she gave you the spirit of just being active and having a purpose. But the spirit of serving, where did you develop that? Where do you think you got that from?
God.
I feel you.
When you read his word and you look at, and I know I'm a person of faith, so if I hope I don't offend anybody, but if you look at Jesus, he came here so that I could have life. Mm-hmm. And he served us. You look at Moses, he had to learn the hard way. First, he got a little pumped up. He's like, well, he went over there, but he was trying to do it the wrong way. He killed someone. He had to go be sent in the desert for a little bit of time to really learn his lesson. But he came back and then he served. If everybody you look at in the Bible, everybody was a servant. Esther, I love the book of Esther. She got beautified and pretty so that the king would notice her, and she became our queen. And then, but she got in there for a minute, and when her people started, was going to be exiled and killed, she forgot herself for a minute. And Mordecai said, well, wait a minute, baby. You one of us too. And she had to go, oh, yeah, wait a minute. I forgot where I came from. So then she was put in that position to help her people. So everything about life is serving. It's not about you and what you want. Because you'll get what you want.
Indeed.
So put yourself in the back seat and instead let someone else have the front. Let them take the lead.
Yeah.
Because whatever's going to come your way is going to come your way regardless.
What God has for you is for you.
Yes. So I got it from God. And because at the end of the day, I want God to say to me, well done. And like my pastor says, I don't want to be in the ghetto. There might be a ghetto in heaven. Now we might all get in there, but some of us might not be on the same spot. But my thing is that I want to be able to look at God and he's go hit through his book and he go, well, yeah, this day, because he is taking notice
for sure.
Because I've been meditating on. It was in the book of I forgot which book it is, but it was talking about with the vineyards. Remember the parable of the vineyards where all the workers came at different times and they all got the same amount of money?
Yeah.
So it don't matter if I came at 8 o'clock in the morning or if I came at 5 o'clock in the evening to do my work. What matters is the effort and the zeal that I had in my work. Because someone that works at 8 o'clock in the morning, we know we work a 9 to 5 job. You might goof off for 4 of them hours. Let's be honest.
So let's be honest.
You ain't working over there 8 hours over there doing your work, right?
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, you ain't wrong. No, you ain't wrong.
So the point is that the zeal and the effort that I put forward is what's going to be looked at.
Yeah.
And what I produced. What did I yield?
Yeah. Yeah, the results.
So those people were worried about the amount of time, the duration they was there. But what did you do?
Yeah.
Was your bushel this high and the bushel that came in from the 1 hour was at the same height? That lets me know you probably didn't do nothing there, right?
Exactly. You ain't put no work in. And we all know faith without works is dead. So you gotta put the work in.
There you go.
You gotta put the work in. It's important. Man who don't work. It's funny. The Bible tell you about working, man. Man who don't work, you don't eat. Faith without works is dead. You gotta get the work going, man. You gotta pay attention to what's being said in that book, man. It's very serious.
I know we might think it's old and antiquated, but you can apply. When I read I take the scriptures because I write a weekly nugget, which I think you get.
I get it, and I appreciate that all the time. Yeah, for sure.
I meditate on that scripture because there's a message behind it that you can apply in your life today. Like the last one I just wrote about was 40 is the process. And it wasn't the fact, and it's about the 40 years that, like Jesus was tested by the devil for 40 nights, right?
40 nights, yeah.
Okay, then you look at the Israelites was wandering in the desert for 40 years. Okay, there was 40. There's a pattern there, but the whole thing is that, but it might not take you 40. But the point is that there is a process.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow that process, then you're gonna half step and not get what's really due you or what you should get to the next level.
Yeah.
So you got to be all in.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I've been saying appreciate the process for many years at this point because I've had wins and I've had losses on my entrepreneurial journey. Mm-hmm. A lot of wins, a lot of losses, you know what I'm saying? And with the whole situation, it's like I still get better, you know what I'm saying? So I'm appreciating the process. Even with losses, it's like, okay, what can I learn from it? What can I take from this? God, what are you showing me? Because obviously it wasn't meant for me to be at that point at that time. So, okay, what's to it, God? What am I supposed to learn? And sit down over a time period. I get the revelation, get it, receive it, meditate on it, read on it, study on it. Then I put the work in because I got to dig myself out the loss. I got to put whatever hole I got put in that position, whatever position I was in from that loss, I got to get up out of it. Then I got to gain momentum and then go straight back for the win. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. I don't wallow in sadness because God didn't give us that. It wasn't for that purpose. It's okay, this happened for a reason. I know what the reason is. Yes. And fix it.
Yes.
You know.
It's not fix it, just learn from it.
Yeah, you're right.
So take it and apply it now to move forward.
Exactly.
Because if you sit there and wallow in it, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
What's gonna be the result?
Time wasted. Dream deferred. You know, a bunch of negative stuff you come up with. Laziness.
Sitting around looking at the TV, eating bonbons, eating popcorn, potato chips, whatever it is.
False perception of life. The bitter spirit come up on you. You know what I'm saying? Now you mad at the world for no reason.
Blaming somebody else.
Yeah, loss of accountability.
When somebody else is really you, get that mirror out, right? And you go, well, let me see. Let me look at that.
Check me out. Check me out. I never knew. Okay, let me fix this. Yeah, you know, accountability kicks in at that point. But, you know, it's funny how you're saying that people view the Bible as old and outdated. One of my coworkers, he's Islam, and we're always going back and forth.
I was raised as a Muslim.
Okay, all right.
I never read the Quran, but yeah,
you never. Okay,
but my mom did all the time.
So I kind of I'm learning more about it. I kind of read it. You know what I'm saying? Not as intentional as I have with the Bible, but I'm always curious to understand how God is in everything, right? Mm-hmm. So as we're comparing the practices of each religion, we understand that God is with all of this, and it's a lot of similarities in it.
Because they call him Allah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's so many similarities, even with Jesus being involved and prophets and how he understands, like Moses, they're saying like it's a lot of similarities. But what he says is it's like the I don't want to misinterpret what he says, and I don't want to offend anybody from the Islamic faith either. But it's like the last rendition of God's word. I think I'm paraphrasing it, but I think that's what he's trying to convey to me, because the Bible's been misinterpreted in the King James version. You know how they kind of used it as a tool for slavery and all these things. So they took some books out and some of these things.
But it's all about. But people can take. It's your interpretation, but it shouldn't be your interpretation. What you do, you ask God to give you his interpretation.
And that's what I was getting to. And that's exactly the point I was getting to.
You want God to give you his interpretation.
I was saying, like, it doesn't matter what man has done to the book. It's still God's word. And if I want to tap into the source, I know how to tap into the source. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't an issue of which it was. As we're not comparing religions. It's not one's better than the other. It's just seeing, you got to understand that God is in everything. Mm-hmm. If you look at a tree, if you feel a breeze, if you look at the sun, you see a cloud pattern, you got to understand this is all God working on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So when you put yourself in that mindset, you can't really be like, well, one's better than the other, or this is outdated, or this isn't a true depiction of God's word. Now, you got to go to the source if you really want to know. Mm-hmm. You know, put the actual work in, do the research, and you'll see what God is trying to tell you. And I didn't want to go into, you know what I'm saying, that aspect of it in this conversation, but I just want to, you know what I'm saying, how the mindset is the mind is powerful, because
and that's what I think. That's my slogan, the power of your thinking.
Yeah, if you can think one way and totally send yourself off, you can totally say, like, I'm not, or psych yourself out. Like I just said earlier, I didn't think I was worthy of being on a panel because of.
There's a soundtrack that you played in your mind.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time, God like, nah, boy, appreciate the process. I'm building you for this, and we're going to see, and you're going to see where I'm taking you. Not where you want to go, but I'm taking you somewhere. Just, I'm showing you something. Just relax and go through the motions, learn, and I got you. And if it wasn't for understanding the parables or the stories that are told in these books, and understanding how God has been in all this stuff, whether it's whatever religion, he's still showing you how he's using people as examples on how true his word is, how you got to appreciate the process, you got to have the right mindset, or he's going to renew your mind, whether you want to or not. He's going to get you, and you don't want to get it the wrong way, because, you know, it can be painful. it can be something that you didn't expect, but it's going to happen. God wants your attention, he's going to get it. So you got to avoid a lot of lost time, you know what I'm saying, start working on your mind in the beginning. Start being receptive of different outlooks and different things. Uber taught me that.
It's probably been a lot of different people. I mean, the whole point is that you have to open your mind.
You have to, because if as an Uber driver, you want to get 5 stars. You want to get the tip. You know what I'm saying? So you can't be closed-minded because somebody come in the car saying something that you're not familiar with. Or, you know what I'm saying?
But you might learn, but you're closing your mind to something that you could have learned.
Man, and I learned so much. I wanted to do a podcast then about just my Uber rides, because I would come off a shift like, today I had this person in my car and this person told me this, and I met this teacher, or I met this person who worked for the government, or I met this woman who was a prostitute, or I met this, you know what I'm saying? They all telling their stories, and it's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying?
Everybody has a story.
Whoa, you know what I'm saying? And mind blown. Like I said, I pray for great rise and great vibes because driving at night in the city, you know, you can see some wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can see some really wild stuff. And if you're not having an open mind to it, you know, just understanding that you're providing a service. That's one. You're providing a service. So be a good host. You know what I'm saying? Be good to these people who are paying you to get them where they're going. You know what I'm saying? They're trusting you as a stranger to get you. Because remember, at one point it was stranger danger. And that whole paradigm is shifted. Now I'm getting in the car with a stranger. I got to feel comfortable with this stranger. I'm paying this stranger. And 9 times out of 10, he's taking me to my house. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you put all those factors in it, and it's like, all right, like you said, communication, putting yourself in their shoes. Mm-hmm. How would you want to feel if you were in their shoes? So understanding that, it helped my communication so much. And I developed such a empathy for humans, period. Whatever race, creed, religion, it didn't matter because
we're all the same.
When it all boils down to it.
We all gonna bleed red blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all wake up we all gotta go to sleep.
Yeah.
We all gotta take a shower.
Yeah, we all got bills to pay.
And even the person that has money doesn't mean that they're any better off than you.
But I talked to some rich people in my truck, in my what color car, my Sentra. You know what I'm saying? I done talked to so many different people from the rich to the poorest, and I'm just like, wow. You know, I sometimes just for a review, just go back to the app and just look at what people were saying. Like, thanks for the comment. I remember one time I helped this lady. She was nervous. I got plenty of stories about how I help people. One lady was nervous about getting on the job doing the interview, and I had spoke words of encouragement into her. You know what I'm saying? And she spoke one right back to me in the comments like, I appreciate what you said. I got to keep it this way, yada, yada, yada. But it was so cool that she received it and she got the job. So it's like, wow, the whole time it's early morning. I'm tired, but I know I got to be a servant, and I'm being a service, and I want to get a tip. I want to be 5 stars. I'm funny. So let me put a smile on this lady's face because Lord knows what she's going through.
Into her life.
Exactly. And that's how we got to this speak life. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all I was doing. That's all I've been doing. When I get around people, I don't want to leave an impression of, you know, you were just around me having a open-ended conversation. You know what I'm saying? I really want to hear people's story. I really want to learn from people. And at the end of the day, I really want to see people win. You know, so if I can leave words of encouragement with you, then I feel good. You know what I'm saying? Even if I didn't learn something, if I'm being a blessing to you one way or another, I'm good. You know,
but you did learn something.
Yeah.
Even in that, if you don't, you always learn something. You just have to go back and look at the scenario or the situation. There was always something that you learned. Even if you felt you didn't, I'm sure there was something about that woman that touched you. Baby, you understood sometimes you need to be the light instead of someone else being the light for you.
For sure. Yeah.
It might have been. I mean, I'm just throwing some things out.
No, you're not wrong because that's one of the masters that you never know what people are going to. I had another Uber situation. I had a guy in the car, right? So, you know, when you get Ubers, you got to play certain music. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to make your rider mad because you playing hip hop and they don't like jazz, right? Or like you playing, so now they blue because they don't want to hear cussing or selling dope. And man, I'm about to go to church. You want to talk about selling dope? Come on now. I'm about to go to a wedding. You talk about kill. Right. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't want to hear that. So one night I was riding and I'm a lover of music. I love music, all genres I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. I love music. And this particular night I was playing lowrider music. So that's more like doo-wop, Bloodstones, the Delphonics.
Okay.
That nature. So Bloodstone was playing Take to the Sky on a Natural. I had this guy in the car and he said his dad was the guy who made oh man, we all know this song too. We all know this song, but I can't think of it right now. It escapes me, but he was a good artist, right? And we listened to the song. It's summer night. It's him and his friend. He said, man, can you just keep this music playing? It reminds me of my father. You know what I'm saying? I turned it up, rolled the windows down, got that summer breeze coming through, you know what I'm saying, blowing through. And he's just singing the song. Every song that comes through. We're all singing at this point because I love the music. So we're all singing. And he's crying. You know what I'm saying? And he gets out, bro, I really appreciate this. I miss my dad. and you made me just smile. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget this. And so enough, in the text, best Uber ride ever, yada, you know what I'm saying? I get that. I guess a lot of those. And that was the point. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I take pride in what I do. But to be of service to people, like, man, I'm just playing my music. I just wanted to make sure everybody was cool. But here I am bringing you comfort from your dad passing, and I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? So you never know how you can affect somebody just by being a light. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of that, speaking of being a light, I want to bring up something right quick, and I want you to tell me what comes to your mind when I bring this up, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, created to soar, rising above life storms. Where were you when you were writing this book? Mindset-wise.
I had a storm in my life, some storms that I had to overcome. One, I wrote about it in the book, was my husband. He was affected by COVID.
Okay.
And that was the hardest thing for me to do because he had to be hospitalized. And I just think about it, I feel like I just had a storm just raging around my head because I dropped him off at that hospital because you couldn't go in with him. And I never knew I would see him again or not. He was just that bad. I mean, it was just, you know, now I look at it because it was like he was upstairs. You know, they said you had to be quarantined yourself and he had to be in one room and I had to be in another. And we would talk on the phone and I said, well, how you doing? And he has asthma. And he said, oh, I ain't doing too well. And I said, okay, that's why he was talking. And so I said, would you call your doctor? And he said, no, I'm going to call him a little bit. I said, no, you're going to call him now. so he called the doctor, and the doctor said to him, told him something. He didn't call me back, so I called back up the stairs, and I said, well, what's going on? He said, I need to go to the hospital. And I said, and you didn't call me? He said, no. He said, I'll wait till you get off from work. I said, you out of your mind. I'm not worried about no job. We going to get you to the hospital now. It took him 20 minutes. I wanted to call an ambulance, but he wanted to go in the ambulance. It took him 20 minutes to walk from the bedroom to the garage.
Wow.
And I'm looking at him the whole time. I'm like a mother hen. I'm just pantsing.
Yeah,
doing all that. I'm like, you gonna make it or what? You gonna make it or what? So he finally got in the car, and I'm driving like a bat, going. And I almost ran this one man over. He said, you almost ran him over. I said, he should have seen me coming. You see, I got the flashing lights. I have the flashing lights on. He need to get out the way.
Sure.
So I dropped him off there. And then I went back home and I was sitting in my kitchen and I said to myself, wow. I looked around. I see how people feel in this pandemic. The storm is raging around us. We don't know what's going to happen, but we have to have faith and hope. So for 2 weeks, I remember I was fasting and praying. My husband was in the hospital. I didn't know if he was going to make it because the doctors were saying we waited too long.
Oh, wow.
He waited too long, and the medicine, the first batch didn't work. And, it was funny. He had me laughing because the nurse came into his room. So he really couldn't walk either. But he was adamant that he was going to the bathroom. He was trying to walk to the bathroom and he was on his oxygen and the mask came off and he almost passed. The waiter said, wait a minute. You ain't gonna down my watch. The nurse said to him, you gonna sit down for a minute? So, but I just was thinking about, that is you just feel that storm raging.
Yeah.
And so God actually spoke to him in a dream and spoke to me in a dream. And in the book Created to Soar, I talked about it. We and this little boy was on these bikes and we were riding. And the little boy was next to me, and there was a tornado in front of us, and there was one that was like over to the east and one to the west. We were just surrounded by the tornado, so I thought we could try to race and get somewhere before one came our way.
Okay.
And I said, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. So we had to jump off the bikes, and we drove down. We dove down on the floor, and we both went head down like this. And I felt the storm just coming past us, though. The breeze, stuff was just flying everywhere, debris, and I felt like the ground just crumbling. But the tornado went past us. So I got up, I looked around, And I got the little young boy up with me. I don't know who this little boy was because I don't have any kids. I'm just going to tell you that. I just had this little boy up with me. And I looked around, and in the dream, God was saying, you're going to be okay. And that's what it's all about. You're created to soar. Go over those storms in your life. Move through them. Move past them. Because I'm with you, and I will be with you if you just believe and have hope and faith.
Inspiring. I dig that. So I brought up that Creative Soul Rising Above Life Storms because that's one of Haseena's books. And she's also an author of 2 other books, right? It's 3 books, correct?
Right. Reflections from Within and Messages from the Spirit. So I actually have copies here. So here's Messages from the Spirit. Here's Reflections from Within. They're like daily word books that you can place in your briefcase or your purse.
Okay.
And then Created to Soar, little Post-it notes because sometimes I go back and refer to my own writing
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And so this was my latest book that I just wrote, and I'm working on my 4th one, which will be out in 2023.
So what made you want to get into being an author and writing?
I've always had a passion for writing.
Okay.
When I was in grammar school, high school, I loved to read, first of all, because when I went home with that little piece of paper, I would go to my room and read a book, and I would read a book in a day. I mean, I was just thirsty. I just loved to read, and I love to write. So it's like when I sit down to write, that's how I connect to the people around me. I want them to see, feel, and believe just like I do.
Yeah.
And so I want them through my words to find their way.
Yeah. That's what's up.
And you can get my books if you go to hsjackson.com or on Amazon, but hsjackson.com, and there's a links there to my books. Everything is on my website.
Outstanding. All right, so we're coming to the segment in this podcast where we're actually going to speak life into you. But in order to do so, we first start with your goals, right? So throughout this whole interview, you've told us plans for 2023 and all the books, the new seminars, what you plan to do in the community. You got a lot of stuff going on, which is super inspiring. I'm glad that I'm a part of this process that you got going on. So I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this question because you've already pretty much answered it. You know what I'm saying? But okay, we can just speak in the timeline. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years with all the wonderful things that you're doing? Like we all move in the timeline of goals and want to have things done in certain times. And so there's always said that you have a 5-year plan, 2-year plan, 1-year plan. So if you can share one of those, we already know what's going on in 2023. So we can go a little bit further in the future. Where do you see yourself next 5 years, 2 years?
The next, one, I want to grow my business. I would like to bring on 2 more people who are embrace my vision.
Okay.
So I can continue to grow and really help people see differently. I also want to look at I want to put on an annual growth experience event.
Okay.
Which would be more in person. So it would be somewhere probably in the fall.
Okay.
Each year annually have an event in that arena. And then also I would like to start a nonprofit up because I really want to help. There's 2 different areas that I like that I focus on is domestic violence, because one, I was a victim of domestic violence, and so was my brother. He actually died. He killed himself and murdered his wife. So
wow.
I understand what domestic violence does and how it impacts others. And then I think I wasn't blessed with kids, but I feel everyone is my kid. So I want to have a youth program where I can help our young people because they are our future. Yeah. And they are our leaders. And so that's where I see myself growing.
Okay. Well, I pray that God allows you to see these things manifest in your life as a reality, and you soar with it and you grow with it. And now you help, not only that you help, your expectation, but I pray that God allows you to even go beyond that. You know what I'm saying? That shows you something that you didn't see coming. You know what I'm saying? In a positive manner, that you are blessing so many people. Because like I say, since you came into my life, Haseena, in Toastmasters, I learned a lot from you. Even with speaking in speeches, you say I always have 3 points. Make sure you do that. You give encouraging feedback in your evaluations. And I was very impressed when you had said that you did the youth thing, the youth It's not a speech-a-thon, but the youth seminar when it's what do they call it?
Toastmasters,
Yeah,
where
the
we had the youth,
Toastmasters.
we have
Yeah.
a 6-week, 8-week program where we help them with their public speaking as well.
I thought that was so dope. I'm like, she's already done that. She's amazing. And then, and then when you came with you presented
Reload 2023.
Reload 2023. You came with this as a speech, and I don't know if you was pitching it, but when you did it, I want to be a part of this. This is. You got ET coming. You got John for real. And you know how when we do things in speeches, it's kind of like, I'm not saying that it's not real, but you know, sometimes it can be just like a speech that we just create and be creative with, and sometimes it can be something that we're manifesting and working on. But you were like, no, this is coming in the next few months, and wow, that's cool. How did you get ET? Wait a minute, you got ET and John Max. Okay, you're doing big things. So inspiring on so many levels because, you know, as a young man who is enthused about learning and have an opportunity to be in the position to be exposed to these people outside of YouTube, outside of Audible books, or just outside of the book. I'm like, oh, I can, you know, even though it's virtual, I can still interact with these people. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We've been interacting with people online for the last 2 years anyway, so it's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm with that. I can still. It's great that the technology allows us to still connect with people via in this fashion. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited for what you got going on, and I'm just excited for the future. I can't wait to see what God has in store for you, for real. I'm just sitting back and watching and enjoying the show, for real, enjoying the journey.
Well, I feel the same about you too, Bo. And then because I've slipped up because we've been in Toastmasters so long, but I admire you. When you talked about your youth program, that in that speech that you gave, you really touched my heart. And so when you came out and you were doing fundraising activities, I wanted to support you because I believe in your cause and your vision.
Thank you.
So I commend you for taking those steps and going forward and following your passion. Like you said, your father was an inspiration to you, and you're carrying on that torch, doing bigger and better things.
Indeed.
And so it's all about us just collaborating together, because we help each other up. We complete each other. It's not competing, we're completing. So as we learn to complete one another, look how much better together, collectively, we can help make this world.
Indeed. I like how you said that. It's not competing, it's completing. Mm-hmm. I dig that in a very major way, because we're so quick to say the crabs in a barrel analogy. We're so quick to go to that. And like I say, it's not understanding the options. If we knew other saying, we would probably exercise different behavior. I was going on a tangent. Man, for about, I want to say at least a month and a half. Like, man, we just out here practicing bad behavior. Like, willful ignorance. We're just bad behavior. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, we will be corrected as bad behavior. But as an adult, no one's correcting the bad behavior. No one's holding themselves accountable for the bad behavior. So you just got everyone practicing bad behavior in one fashion or one way or another. And it's like, it's up to you to actually change or recognize the bad behavior in yourself, because no one's going to hold you accountable at this point. You know what I'm saying? You got to really hold yourself accountable. But if we're not competing and we're competing, you can hold yourself up. Iron sharpens iron. You can say, hey, my man, I see you going, you're going down this path, and you know what I'm saying, you might want to tighten up. Or, Haseena, thank you for the words, because you really helped me, because I saw myself doing this, and even though you didn't know it, I felt the way about it, and it made me change my perspective on my routine or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So expressing that, communicating that, because it might encourage you to continue to be the light, express someone when they're out here displaying bad behavior, and like it's like collectively coming together for the good, not collectively coming together to gossip, collectively coming together to talk about the bad stuff, so to collectively come together to talk about the problems, and not activate or exercise the solutions. You know what I'm saying? We get too caught up in the old routine.
But who does gossiping help?
Nobody.
Yes, it does help the person you're talking about, because they make them feel good because you're talking about them. I'm just saying, because that's what you're doing. You're lifting them up.
No.
So, yes, you are, really, because that's what they wanted you to do, was talk about them, so that they could be like, see, I told you I can get it.
Get a rise out of them. Yeah, for sure. I get it from that perspective. Yeah. I get it. But it's just it's still bad behavior, man. Why would you want to do that to somebody? I told you I get a rise about you. Why you want to make me mad?
But you got
why you want to do that?
That's what people want to do, though.
What's to you?
You can't feed into that.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I can't feed into that. What's to you? Why you want to make me feel bad? You know what I'm saying?
Do the 5 things that you can control. Remember we talked about that.
Yeah,
before.
for sure.
Do the 5 things you can control.
For sure.
Leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, Haseena, this has been a great conversation. I really enjoyed myself. We talked earlier about it being 45 minutes. And guess what we had? We had an hour and 15 minutes right now.
We are?
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
We talk too much. Well, I hope you guys listen to this whole segment.
Now, you know what? What I'm great about my viewers in this community that we're building right now is people are really paying attention. You know, I'm looking at the insights and I'm looking at the analytics, and folks are really tuning in. And the whole situation, from the beginning to the end, I'm watching the duration of how people are watching it, and it's really inspiring for me because it makes me want to keep going.
Okay.
I'm grateful that the clips are getting the responses that they're getting. So when we break all this down, I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? Because we said so much inspiring things. You know what I'm saying? And I think that people are going to really take heed to what you have to offer, what your program is giving, and we're going to make sure that we, put that link out on the page and whatnot to make sure that people are aware of this. But, I think that we need more conversations like this, where it's not a situation of it being watered down with fluff. You know what I'm saying? Or just because it's the cliche thing to do. Now, this is real life we talking about. You know what I'm saying? Real life getting real results. So when we expose people to that, it creates another discourse, another conversation,
makes them uncomfortable where they want to get up and do something.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
You want to inspire someone to get to the point where they go, I have to take action.
Yeah.
There's no other way but action.
Yeah.
Because we can sit here. So what I want to challenge people to do, me and you have had a discussion here today, and we've given some interesting tidbits and nuggets, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I want someone to do from our speech, or from our conversation, I should say, because it wasn't a speech. I'm correcting myself. I'm so used to giving.
Yeah, let's tell that.
But from my conversation today, is what is one action you can take, and take that action. Don't just sit here and nod your head, say, "Oh, that was real good."
Yeah,
like we, But what is one thing now that you can do, and do it?
I did. On that note, we're going to end the conversation. This has been a great, awesome, Haseena, thank you. I really appreciate your time, for real. This is great. So this has been another episode of Speak Life, everyone. Make sure you share, tell somebody about this, like, subscribe. Until next time, y'all. Later on.